Nah, I don't see none now. Hold on. Refresh this. Now we good.
Nah, it's
Yeah,
streaming.
yeah. Now it's streaming.
Bro, that's crazy. On the correct link or no?
Nah, this is a whole different one. It says welcome to our live show. Different thumbnail and all. But it's on though. I
All
can
right.
see it.
It is what it is. People, forgive us. Have no idea what's going on with this technology. Happy that y'all was able to find us, and so we're gonna get back to it. We were having a whole conversation without y'all for like 15 minutes, and so welcome to the conversation. Um, P, I don't even know where you want to go now, bro. Honestly, like I'm with whatever though.
Um, yeah. That's funny because we was just really in the flow of a
Yeah, for
conversation.
sure.
Um, yeah, but we can just I'll finish off with this question. It was about me asking you. I think it was about learning. Oh, that's what it was. About your mindset, about how you continuously are evolving. I think it's easy to think you've learned enough, especially where you're at. Like you have the resume, repertoire, all the things of that nature. Um, but what keeps you at that? Always being a student.
Because I think the more you learn how much you don't know.
Mm. The more you learn, the more you learn how much you don't know.
Yeah, because there's like
Okay.
when you're ignorant to things, your world is smaller.
Yes.
So if I've never been exposed to, as an example, making six figures in a day, and I've only been exposed to a reality where six figures in a year means you're rich, then I'm only around people that also subscribe to that thought that making
Mm.
six figures in a year is like a big accomplishment. As a result of that, my worldview is smaller because I haven't been exposed to people that not only make six figures in a day, how about those that make eight figures in a day, seven figures in a day, nine figures in a day? People do deals this big. So what happens is when my perspective and my worldview is limited, then I'm less curious.
Mm.
So I only learn enough to know to facilitate my belief system because we only behave consistently in what we believe. So if my worldview is that making six figures in a year is rich, I'm typically around working class people that spend most of their time looking for distractions and things to anesthetize the fact that they don't like doing what they're doing, they're not living their life's purpose, and all the things. And so it's fantasy football, drinking, happy hour, going on vacation, maxing out credit card. Like that's the world that I'm in, right? So I'm not curious about a whole lot in terms of expansion because I've already accepted the fact that making six figures in a year is a big deal.
Mm.
And if I get to that pinnacle, then I must be good. Whereas over here, when you start getting in rooms with people that's worth eight, nine, 10 figures, and you know who if they made 3 million in a month, they had a bad month. When you get around that, now if you're smart, your curiosity goes, well, wait a minute. I've been making six figures in a day. I've been making seven figures in a year. These people over here making eight figures, nine figures, even 10 figures as billionaires. If I'm smart, I go, I got to figure out how they're doing that. If I'm over here with this limited worldview, there's nothing for me to think about. I got to figure out how they're doing that.
It's good.
I'm at 70, a couple more promotions, I'll be at 100. I won. Over here, it's like I'm at seven figures and I'm a bum,
Mm.
comparatively speaking. So I'm far more curious. So that's what I mean by the more you learn what you know, you learn what you don't know.
Mm.
So
Wow. I
it's this
never
interesting
heard.
thing where the more you learn, the more you learn what you don't know.
I've
Because
never
every
heard.
time I learn something new, I see that there's another level.
Right.
But if I've accepted that the gold standard is six figures a year and got a house and two car notes and a couple kids, then I'm not curious to learn more in life.
Right.
So I think that what I know is suffice, and it probably is for the life that I've accepted. But for those of us that haven't accepted any form of life and we only look to continue to expand, then we're always learning how much we don't know as we learn more.
Mm. No, that's good. I never heard that before. Wow.
I'll give you a
That's
great
really good.
example of this. This would
Yeah.
be a phenomenal like representation of this. When you use Chat GPT,
Hmm.
it always got a comeback for you.
Yes.
Like you have to just
Always.
disengage, right?
Yeah.
It always has a comeback for you. So what is
Yeah.
that showing you? That there's always more.
Hmm.
There's always more knowledge. Now, whether or not you got the appetite for it is two different conversations, but there's always more knowledge. But if you get on there and just ask your question and you bounce, then you're never privy to and exposed to all the other wealth of information and knowledge that was at your fingertips.
That's good.
Unless you go down the rabbit hole out of curiosity and you ask more and you ask more and you go deeper.
That's good. I've never heard that. The more you, the more you learn, the more you learn what you don't know. That's good.
Yeah.
That's real good. And I
What's
wanted
up,
to
good
add,
people? Let us know in the chat if y'all can hear us. Forgive us. We were on here, y'all. We were on somewhere.
yeah,
We were like in YouTube purgatory because we were live, but you couldn't see it nowhere. So we stopped it. We started it. Thank God y'all are here. We thought we were stuck in outer space somewhere. So let us know in the chat if y'all can hear us. And please put your questions in the chat. We will get them answered as we go through this process today.
yeah, that's good, man. The more you learn what you don't know. That's real good. That's real good. I think I've experienced
Don't,
that.
don't that
Just
make don't that make sense though, bro? Just
it
like every
does.
time every time I tell you to go run and play, you run that play, and then you discover now I need something else. Like the more you learn, you always discover now I need something else.
Mm, it's good. It's so funny because the plays that you've told me to run have exposed my character in ways I didn't think it like I didn't want it to be exposed in that manner. Like certain things or suggestions you would give me, I didn't realize how much exposure would hurt and help at the same time. Remember that verse in Proverbs where it's like, it says, "Wounds from a friend are better than kisses from an enemy."
Hmm.
And there are so many wounds that you've either exposed or have given me that I'm like, I'm grateful that I got wounded. Like, I'm grateful that it wasn't something that you just patted me on the back, like, yeah, it's all right, you'll get through it. It's like, you're like, nah, like, you tripping. Like,
So,
and you're
so,
not
so,
afraid to
so
do that.
you basically just called me abusive in front of all these people, is what you did. Y'all see what just happened? Like that was the most polite way of saying that I'm an abusive friend, is what he just said in front of all you, man. This is like bad.
No, he's honest, not abusive. He's honest. I'll say that. Because like I said, it'll be a prime example. I'm telling B about, yeah, I think I should do this. He's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, just quick to just shut it down. And I'm like, yo, like, thank you for not for not entertaining waste and just things that I don't need to be focused on. I was even just reading this book. It's called Debate of Satan. And it was like a gift is given and fruit is cultivated. And you always been hammering that you need to cultivate fruit. You need to cultivate fruit. But I'm in my head like, bro, I got a gift, da 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 da. But you would just shut that down quickly. So I appreciate that. Um, I do want to ask you this question before we pivot into like more of the chunk of the coaching call. Um, Recently, this past week, I would say, I've realized that I've had both of my feet in discipline. So it's not one foot in comfort, one foot in discipline. And I've seen this this post on Instagram, and it was like you're exhausted because the tension of your soul continues to fight with who you used to be and who you want to be and who you're trying to become. So can you just speak to that? Like, how do you break out of? Because I think what holds people back in business is who they were and who they need to become. So they can never break forth because they're always revisiting their own Egypt. So if you talk about how to break free from that tension.
Yeah, for sure. So I coached on this at the challenge last week.
Oh
Okay.
wow.
So I came up with this gap assessment or gap formula. Okay.
Of course you did.
And The G is for grace. What you just articulated is how our past tends to haunt us in our present,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no condemnation in Christ. So if I'm feeling condemned, guilty, or playing this loop, then that means that I'm looking in my past and I'm trying to change things that literally I cannot change now. And so the G is for grace because we have to give ourselves grace for our past. The A is for accountability
Mm.
because the only thing that we have control over is our now. So it's grace for our past, and then the A is for accountability for our present. The only thing we can control is our now moment. Apostle Paul says, I have to forget those things which are behind and press forward. So if we caught ourselves doing the double dutch back and forth, past and present, then we're not abiding by that. We're not abiding by forgetting those things which are behind and pressing forward, which means that's self-inflicted. We're playing into the enemy's hands. He always wants us to show up and try to fix things we can't.
Mm.
That's why we worry. That's why we have anxiousness. That's trying to fix things and predict outcomes and control outcomes that you can't.
It's good.
So grace for your past, accountability for your present, and then persistence is the P. Persistence
Mm.
for your future. So I got to have grace for my past, I got to have accountability for my present, and I got to have persistence to get to my future life that I want. If you follow that edict, you can stop vacillating back and forth and stay fully engaged in the present and be persistent about your future. But it's in the book. Like it's not unique that everybody experiences it. So much so that that's why the Apostle Paul gave us a framework to get out of it. That you have to forget those things which are behind and press forward. It's simple. But we don't do it because sometimes it's easier to have a pity party.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to keep playing that over and over and over in your mind, knowing you can't change it.
Yeah.
There was a lady I talked to yesterday who was interested in coming in the program, and she did one video for her implementation work that we had them do every day at the challenge. And the one day that she did it, it carried so much weight. Her voice, like you could. She one of those people that just need to talk more. She just can't see herself, right? She didn't do no other videos. At least it appeared. Yesterday, she tells me, she says, she said the only thing that I didn't like about the challenge is what I did. I said, what'd you do? She said, do you know I recorded all of them videos and I negotiated and talked myself out of posting all of them except for that one. And ever since the challenge, I know that at the beginning of this year, I made a declaration that I wasn't playing small no more. That was my opportunity to step out into discomfort
Mm.
and grow. And I reneged on myself. And by the end of that call, before I could even get the words out of my mouth, she was saying it to herself, saying, I don't know if that Facebook group open. I said, yep, go and post them.
Mm.
Go and post them. Because if you don't, bro, the enemy is prolific at getting you to go back and keep rewatching the screenplay over and over and over again of things that you can't control. So when you can control them, you have to take accountability over your now moment and do whatever it is that you need to do to disrupt him coming to torment you based on you not doing something that you're supposed to have done.
It's good. It's real good. It's real good. Yeah. Gap. Grace, accountability, persistence. That's good. That's good. Hey, there's a question in the chat that I would love to
Okay.
hear your response on. I think this is a wonderful question from Firehouse Heavyweights TV.
When starting a new business to truly feel as a calling, where would you start if you were starting all over again? That's good. What's
I
up,
like
Mark
this.
from Hawaii?
I like
Uh,
it. Talk to me, B. Let me get my popcorn ready. Hold on.
If I was starting all over again, where would I start?
That's a great question. I don't think I ever asked you this before.
So here's my formula for what I believe is a profitable business. Is where passion plus purpose plus proficiency equal profits. Where I'm passionate plus proficient plus have purpose is going to be profitable. So for me, if I'm 10 years ago, I would have to evaluate my life and go, where do those three things, like where do they exist? In what sector? So for me 10 years ago, that would have been in real estate,
Mm.
where my passion, my purpose, and my proficiency all would have met is where my profit center would be. So a lot of time we go and we try to look for external things in terms of like where we should start. When we should look at internally and we should look at what are we already putting our hands to that we're proficient at and then go do that. And what I mean by that is a lot of people immediately when they want to make impact, they go, I need to start a nonprofit. It's like, no, you don't. You need to do a for profit, but with impact for people.
Mm.
I don't know where we got off by thinking nonprofit means service. No, service means service. And I'm likely doing a better service to people when I'm putting them in a position where they got to have a vested interest in the outcome, that they're paying for something. Nobody appreciate free. Charitable efforts fall on deaf ears and leave people dead broke. So I'm doing you more of a service to let you operate in the idea of where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I'm giving you an opportunity to invest in yourself and to make the head heart hand connection that I truly believe in what I'm doing so much so that I'm willing to invest money and be uncomfortable. So for me, it's not. There is a place for philanthropy and all the things, but I just think when people are at this intersection of I want to make impact and income, they think I got to go start a nonprofit to make impact, and I need to go work a job to make income. And it's like no, you're just doing it wrong. When your passion, your purpose, and your proficiency align, that's a profit center where there's impact and income.
Real quick, I don't want to assume. Can you give like a small, very small, short description of each P, all the P's that you just named? Because you say those words, and that's one thing that I used to not do was get a clear understanding of what those words mean. Because I may
Yeah.
think passion is something, but it's different. So I just wanted to ask if you could just explain that real fast.
Yeah. So your purpose is what God put you here to do, right? He's giving you gifts, and your lot in life is to deploy those gifts into your purpose. Okay? To deploy those gifts into your purpose. So I have an apostolic gifting, which means I'm entrepreneurial. I got a communication gift. I got a teaching gift, right? I got a gift of administration to put systems together and things of that nature. So when you looked at my gift mix, there's going to be different places along my journey called purpose that I'll be able to deploy those that gift mix into. Okay. So that's what I mean by purpose. Your purpose, my purpose in life is to use those gifts to create economy, to create disciples, to impact people, to impact the kingdom. So the environments by which I do that in will change all throughout my life. But the purpose up underneath it all never will. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So at one point that was in real estate investing. At another point that was in corporate America. At another point that was in real estate coaching. At another, like wherever I go, that's what my purpose is, to give life and life more abundant. Okay. My passion are those things that light me up, that that fuel me and feel me as a result of doing them. So when you look at the DEPE formula, right? The D is for desire, the E is for education, the P is for practitioner, and the E is for expert. So what a lot of people do is they go from they never had the desire. They go from getting educated at a thing and becoming a practitioner at it. This is called going to college, getting a job.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people with a lot of degrees that are miserable at the thing that they do because they never truly had a desire. They were like, well, I ain't gonna waste no money on this degree, so I might as well get the thing. Let me go be an engineer. Let me go be a doctor. Let me go do something to where I can justify spending this money on this degree that's gonna put me in a position where I can make more money. Make logical sense, but the start of the DEPE formula is desire. So you never had a true desire, which means you're not passionate about that. You may have become proficient at it because you got educated and become a practitioner. You may have become expert, but you skipped the most important piece with the desire at the top. So passion is equivalent with desire. The thing that I'm passionate about is the thing that I desire.
Mm.
And then the so we talked about the purpose, we talked about the passion, and then the last P is the proficiency.
Yeah.
What skill or skills have I have I mastered at this point in time? Okay. And I won't even go as far to say mastered. I'll say what skill or skills have I become competent at this point in time? Competency would mean that I exude the ability of doing something effectively. Mastery will mean I've committed it to memory without the use of conscious thought. So I don't want to say everybody has to be at a level of mastery, but you definitely got to be at a level of competence if you're
It's
going to call
good.
yourself proficient at a thing.
It's good. It's
So
good.
again, your proficiency will mean that you're competent at a thing. Your passion will mean that you have a true desire for a thing. And your purpose is your life works within that thing.
Mm. That's good. That's real good. The same guy that asked that question, I don't know if this will change your response. He was like, the me 10 years ago I was referring to as I would target me 10 years ago to get through what I was going through at that time. So
Ah,
does that change your answer in any way? I feel like you can give a little more insight to that.
when starting a new business that you truly feel is a calling, me 10 years ago, where would you start if you were starting all over again? So I think 10, so Russell Brunson famously says, go help who you were 5 years ago. I think five is probably a little more dialed in uh, because I feel like if you go help who you were 10 years ago, the further you go back, the more disconnected you are to who that was,
Mm, wow. Wow.
right? Like the more disconnected you are from that person. Because, bro, in 10 years of evolution, there should be 20, 30 years of wisdom gained within that.
Right.
If you're evolving at a pretty substantial pace. And by the way, nothing's all or nothing, right? So by me answering this, that don't negate the fact that Firehouse heavyweights couldn't go back and help who they were 10 years ago. Maybe there was a legitimate struggle, some trauma, something that impacted them for a lifetime that they just feel like, no, I feel like I need to go rescue some more of these people, right?
Mm.
That's a unique situation. But I'm saying from a place of passion plus purpose plus proficiency, typically you want to look at like who you were 5 years ago, right?
That's really
So in 2018, when I started my real estate coaching program, I was helping people that were stuck in corporate America that wanted to transition from corporate to real estate. Like though that was my ideal client because that's who I was before I was able to leave corporate and do the same.
yeah.
Fast forward when we started coaching coaches and consultants. Well, we started doing that 2 years ago. And at that time, so 2 years would have been 2024. 5 years before that would have been 2019, where I was what? A new coach getting started in coaching and consulting.
It's good.
See what I'm saying? So when you go back 5 years, you probably have gained enough competency in that time frame to where
Mm.
you're not too disconnected from, like as an example, if right now I was coaching people getting started with their first real estate deal. Okay. I started investing in real estate in 2006. Now that don't mean that that I couldn't coach that individual, but I wouldn't be passionate about coaching that individual
Mm.
because I don't want to talk to them about how they need to make a list of 20 realtors and call them each day. And then I don't want to talk to them when they come back to me and say, I called 7 people today and they didn't answer my call. Like I don't want to have them conversations at this point in my life. And it's no knock to them because they're getting started and those are legitimate growing pains in that process, but that's not my lot in life at this point in life. That's somebody else's lot in life. So I don't have the empathy for them at this point in my life to talk to them about how, well, if they didn't answer your call, then you need to email them, and if they answer your email, then you need to call them again, and then they didn't, like I don't want to have them kind of conversations right now. They're necessary for that person. They're not necessary for me to have with that person
Hmm.
based on where I'm at. I've by God's grace, I position myself to have a certain level of skill, certain level of experience to solve a different level of a problem. Now, I don't need to talk to somebody about how you got to be persistent and call and follow up and try this avenue and text them. And it's necessary. It just ain't necessary for me.
Mm.
So that's what I mean by the further you get removed from who you previously were, I just think that you develop a different temperament for that.
That's good. That's really, really good. Wow. I think that's also why I remember when this is an offline conversation we had. Um, and I was telling you, like, yo, B, like, I'm trying to figure out what I should do for Praise Academy and X, Y, and Z. Because there were only certain things that I feel like, and not everybody's knowing this because obviously you know me offline. So I was like, yo, there's certain things I'm communicating that I'm not really living, or I'm saying it in a way that I'm like, this is not really what I am, or I'm being soft, or whatever the case may be. So only you would see the real offline work. But I remember we was talking now, man, I'm sitting on my couch enjoying food. You need to talk to Gen Z about religious trauma and spiritual abuse. I was like, I've experienced that my whole life. 5 years ago, I was crippled by that. Exactly. I know. And it's so funny that you say that because it's like me 5 years ago, I would I would have been scared to talk to you. 100%. I'd be intimidated by the caliber of man you are, by your honesty. I would think your honesty is wickedness because that's what they taught us in church. To be honest is to be some sort of wicked. My sister, it's so funny because my sister was looked at so badly in church because she just told them, I don't feel like going to church today. I don't feel like hearing what they're gonna say because it's gonna be this. So like the fact that you said that, I was like, yo, it makes so much sense. I'm just seeing all the dominoes come together, all the pieces come together, and I'm just like, yo, that's a really good. And it's funny because I'm sitting on my couch and I'm thinking your brain is always working in some sort of framework, or you're just always debunking because you're a surgeon. That's one thing you're gonna be. You're a surgeon. I don't whether you want to be or not. I think you can't even help being a surgeon. Like that's just one thing that I've noticed. But that day, bro, I feel like scales fell off, bro. Because like now I'm passionate about talking about that because I know what it's done to me. So you saying that, bro, I'm like, yo, this is like, he's not lying. Let me just tell y'all that he's not lying. That's good. That's real good. I didn't even think about that. Um, yeah, I appreciate you for sharing that, B. That was
For
good.
sure. For sure.
That was good. Yeah, because even Firehouse, yeah, he said thank you for that. So I knew that that answer would have been a little different. That's why I wanted to touch on that. I didn't want to just brush over it. Um, and then the last thing, and I think this also goes to you answering about 5 years ago. I wanted you to kind of to speak about really the importance of narrowing down your niche as narrow as possible. Um, because one, especially with the niche you told me to pursue, one that's literally been my life for the last 2 decades, but two, um, at the same time, that's actually something that I know about very well. I've experienced a lot, but that is very narrow. I don't hear a lot of people talking about religious trauma or spiritual abuse. That's like every other sermon, once in a blue moon. But to be coaching on that, I feel like that's a very narrow niche. I just want you to talk about the importance of narrowing it down because, especially to Firehouse's point, he was trying to go back 10 years ago and you said go back five. So can you just talk about the importance of just narrowing down that niche?
Yeah, when you look at people needing help, they don't need help for a general problem, they need help for a specific problem.
Mm,
So if you don't get very specific, then for somebody who's in pain, there's a reason why they call it acute pain. When you go to the doctor, they said acute pain to the left shoulder, not just my body hurt. So when people are dealing with acute pain, they need to know that you know specifically where the pain is. The only way that they know that you know specifically where the pain is from you specifically talking about their pain.
mm.
And the only way you can specifically talk about their pain is if you're specifically talking to that person. If I'm explaining a wide array of symptoms, then the person who's dealing with a very specific symptom feel like that I'm intelligent and I'm informed in all these things, but that I'm not specifically addressing their one thing.
Mm.
So then they'll go and find the doctor who does. So that's why we have to get extremely specific in who do we serve, what's their payoff, how do we get that to them? Because that's the only person we supposed to show up and talk to every day. If you don't, you're confusing your audience and you're missing out on a ton of money.
It's good. That's really good.
If I
I
if I
appreciate
say
that.
if I say we got a remedy, if I say we got a remedy to help people with back pain, right?
Hmm.
But then I say we developed a tool to specifically help people that's dealing with sciatica on their sciatic nerve get an instant release. If I'm dealing with a sciatica issue and I hear back pain, that kind of got my attention. If I'm dealing with a sciatica issue and I hear that there's a remedy specifically for the sciatic nerve, that got my attention on a whole different level because I'm letting them know that I'm specifically addressing their problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, some would think, well, how many people dealing with sciatica? A lot, if you say something about it.
Mm.
But they say back pain to think that they'll capture more people. You may capture more people, but you're missing out on the sciatica people because they feel that they back pain different than back pain because they leg going up.
That's good. So would you say people aren't getting the clients they want because of that itself? Like that's actually a really good point that you just made. Like we saying back pain, but they really need that.
Yes,
That's so good.
yes,
Wow. That's probably why people don't buy because it's too broad.
yes.
It's too wow. That's
Yeah.
really good. That's really good. Okay. Okay. So the people who gonna buy are the narrow. Wow, that's really good.
So
I remember when you
one of our best performing ads on this last
yeah.
campaign that we ran was where David opened up and says, if your webinar is not converting, it's not because of the slides, it's not because of the this, it's not because of the that, it's because you don't have this, you don't have this, you don't have this. So if I've been running a webinar, immediately that got my attention. Because he didn't say if your business is not working. He didn't say if you're not making the money that you want to make in your coaching program. He didn't say, no, he said if your webinar is not converting, is this, is this, is this, is this. Now somebody else would say, you're missing out on a lot of money in your business because you aren't doing virtual events. Now, when they say virtual event, they mean webinar. But because they didn't have the specificity of webinar, that ad is not going to perform as well as the one that David did.
Mm.
But they think I don't want to pigeonhole myself into saying webinar because somebody else may be interested in virtual events. It's like, yeah, but then all the webinar people don't think you're talking to them.
Mm. That's good. That's really good.
So the riches are in the niches. Not necessarily because there's more people, but because there's the right people. But if we want to ask the question as to why people don't do it, the real reason why people don't do it is because they never got clear about who their audience is.
Mm.
They got an offer. They in their mind they know who they want to help, but they can't fully articulate that. I don't know. I talk to them every day. So who you help? Well, I help. So whenever it becomes a sentence, I'm like, you don't know who you help. What's your offer? So we do weekly call. That's not your offer. That's the stuff that's in it. What's the transformation that you get from your offer? People don't know, but
Mm.
they're attempting to sell stuff every day. We help coaches, consultants, and experts build 6 to 7 figure businesses over the course of 12 months using our one to many system. That's what we do. Who do we serve? How do we serve them? What's their payoff? They could build a 6 to 7 figure business over a 12-month period. That's the payoff. Using our one to many system. That's the methodology. And we help coaches and consultants. That's the who. Who do you serve? What's their payoff? How do you get them there? It's clear. One stateable soundbite.
It's good.
And when you go to my page, all the content, this included, will align with that message.
That's good. That's all I got for you today, B.
That's
That's
all I
good.
got for me too. Again, our apologies for those that couldn't. Y'all were waiting on us, man. Better next time. But no, that was crazy. I literally don't know what happened. We were in YouTube purgatory talking, and nobody could see us. So I'm glad that we were able to come back and get it in. Go back and rewatch the beginning if you missed it, and we see y'all in a couple weeks. I'm heading to the Middle East.
Yeah. So real quick for you get off, Firehouse got one more question.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So I wanted you to just talk to that. Well,
Where is
got two
that?
questions.
Does that also apply to a psychological state? Yeah. If I understand the question correctly, it 100% applies to a psychological state because if somebody is dealing with, depression, but you generally uh, talk about their symptoms, as opposed to the acute problems and symptoms that come from depression, right? That would be a psychological problem. That there's a chemical imbalance in some cases. There's um, there's genetic passed down. There's a lot of different things that causes that condition to exist. So just as much as you would describe what somebody is experiencing physically, you can also describe what they're dealing with psychologically. If I understand the question correctly. Could you speak to people dealing with how their lives are being impacted emotionally or socially or just the physical? Oh, 100%. All of it. All of it. You, oh, you don't have to apologize for the questions. This is great.
Yeah, we need
You,
this.
you deal with all of it, right? So as an example, um, I'll talk about how a lot of coaches believe that they just need the right webinar, they need the right funnel, they need the right uh, website, they need the right CRM system. When the truth is, even with having the most beautiful slides, the most amazing website, the most beautiful funnel, if you don't know how to communicate persuasively, you're not going to make the money that you should, regardless of having all those elements in place. I would literally call that out in content. I would call that out in an ad because I'm still describing the conditions of my ideal avatar and something that they believe to be true that's not. That the thing that's going to make them most successful is hiding in plain sight, but they think because they've been articulate, because they are verbose, because they got a great vernacular, because they speak the king's English, that means that they're a great communicator. And in corporate and in certain settings, that may be true, but it ain't gonna make you the most effective in business communicating that way. Not to say that you need to sound stupid, but you need to be persuasive. So just being intelligent and talking above people won't make them want to buy from you. It may make them clap for you. You may get the golf clap, but you won't get the credit card. It's two different things. And so a lot of people, especially when they got initials before and after their name, they speak very intelligently, but they don't speak persuasively, which is why their funnels, webinars, challenges, all those things don't convert at the level that they should. So I hope that that's giving you a well-rounded perspective, Firehouse Heavyweights, in terms of it don't matter what the condition is. It don't matter what the condition is. You got to pinpoint and talk about it. You got to talk about the proverbial elephant in the room. You got to talk about the thing that they're struggling with. physical, psychological, systemic, uh, out of ignorance, whatever those things are, you got to talk about them to let them know that you know their problem. If you see any of our ads, bro, if we do nothing else, we do that. Hey, if you're making 40, 50,000 a year as a coach, you probably thought, just like David and I walking across, along this beach, that this would be your life one day. And maybe it is, but you can't do it without having a cell phone in your hand because you got all these one-on-one clients. They calling you, and when you thought that you were going to build this life of freedom, you actually built a prison that pays you well. Is that true for you? Because I know, David knows. If you're making 40, 50,000 a month, you probably have built your business based on one-on-one coaching, and you got all these clients and not no time, and you're making good money, but you don't have a lot of margin. And we know that because we done it. So I'm talking specifically to that person. I'm not worried about the person that said, I'm not a coach. Cool. Send that to somebody else. Like, keep scrolling. Right? I'm talking specifically to that person. I'm identifying their pain point. So I hope that covered it, Pete. I don't know if that was your perception of the question, if you thought I missed an
Yeah.
angle on it.
No, you got it. I feel like you hit it on the nail, and he just said, yes, this has been super valuable. Thank you both. Thank you, man, for asking those questions. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah, great question.
Keep bringing them, and never apologize because you don't know who else in the room needs it. That's what B told me. So
For sure. For sure.
yeah,
That's a
we
fact.
appreciate it.
That's a fact. Well, I'm about to get ready. I got, oddly enough, we got communication training today inside of our mastermind for our P2P clients.
Yes,
So
sir.
about to get ready for
Yes,
that.
sir.
And God bless y'all. We see y'all in a couple weeks. P, I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.